Good morning. Hopefully everyone has had a great morning so far. And we are just about to go live. What's up, Bam Bam? This is Chris Mizo here. If you're unfamiliar with who I am, I talk about PC and tech, and that's exactly what we're going to do this morning. Figure out more PC builds. Originally, I wanted to get the Micro Center, but it seems a bit slow on the sales side for this week, so unfortunately we were unable to make the trip today. But there are some very interesting things that has happened, especially with Gigabyte's Z890. I don't know if anybody has heard, but just recently that there has been this new update for the BIOS where it can actually improve even gameplay up to 30%. I'm not sure how well if that's proven. Once we do this PC build with this Intel, I'm really curious to see how it would perform prior to actually updating the BIOS, even though the first thing that I usually like to do is update the BIOS before then. So we'll definitely do a comparison in the future, but unfortunately I don't think we will have the time to do the build and be able to post it up at the same time. What's up, Wasabi? Good to see you. Welcome in. Glad to see that you are here. And I'm hopefully your morning has been going great, or your afternoon, depending where you are across the world, or even in the evening. And NVIDIA also decided to come out with this new DLSS. Apparently uses less than 20% of the original transformers. So you can imagine they are becoming, or trying to attempt to become more efficient, and they will release the RTX 5050 more than likely with it, claiming that it can push some really incredible numbers. To be honest, it's kind of hard to believe any of NVIDIA's charts now, especially because we really haven't seen how accurate the charts are from them, but I would love to test it out to see exactly how well it performs. If it really doesn't need that many transformer models, then I am curious if it will also boost the RTX 4090's performance because of that. Just woke up 1 p.m. Oh man, that's all good. At least you're making some money in. Hopefully you can put a little bit more. You can get some more RGBs, which is always a nice plus for sure. And originally what I wanted to do was do a few purchases. As you guys know, we do have a Z890 Gigabyte AORUS master board currently just sitting in the back, and you probably can see it in the background over there. And we just need to get a processor and some RAM. Luckily, we did get something. We got NVMe already for it. We just need really several components. The vote for the live, it seems that most people wanted to see was a RX 9070, not 9070, RX 9060 XT put in with the Intel build. And we will certainly do that as soon as the time comes for it. CPU cooler is something that we will certainly figure out. If there's any requests, please let me know, and we can see if we can make it happen. Micro Center does have some really awesome deals that are going on. Apparently, they are having some Gigabyte. I think it's the B850, I would have to say. I would have to double check it. I'll check with you guys too. Apparently, you can get a Gigabyte B850, AMD processor, plus 2 sticks of RAMs, like all for $350, which is an incredible deal. That's like a third of your build right there. Another thing we also have to do, actually, speaking of which, on the Intel build, we have to figure out a case, and we'll definitely put a vote on it. Obviously, you can't go into something like a micro ITX case or any like micro ATX cases, because it is a regular standard ATX board. We'll make a vote and see what everyone would like to prefer to see. What's up, Aiden? I'm trying to build a white 9070 XT, 1300, and the closest to that I have gotten is 1600. Do you think it's possible? So if you're trying to do a full white build with the 9070 XT, it could be possible. What part seems to be like adding up the most? Sometimes certain white components can be a little bit more expensive because they don't build them as much. Sometimes you could actually even get them cheaper. But let me get some details on your build. I'm just curious to see what you have put together so far. Is it going to be through Gigabyte's ICE build, Is it going to be like Iceboard? Because that would be pretty sick. Oh yeah, let me check something here. For the first time, I'm actually streaming out on, I hope it didn't send like multiple streams out. Let me see. Okay, so we just got the one stream. The thing I was afraid of was that it was going to post out some other streams on X. Usually I don't go on X to go live. Hopefully it's working well this time. Last time I went on X, Twitch, and YouTube, it seemed like it was kind of finicky, but hopefully the stream is okay. If you see any type of stutter or buffer, please feel free to let me know, and I will certainly attempt to fix the stream. Last time I had to close out the X streaming, unfortunately, because it was taking up too much bandwidth to the point where it didn't seem like all the streams would work well and you wouldn't hear me coherently, at least. So the motherboard and CPU. Okay, so you're just getting the motherboard and CPU. The CPU, obviously, I would say let's take a look. Actually, I'll look with you. So we're gonna go right now. We'll go online actually, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys here. And let's take a look on Newegg. I'm going to Steam later, and hopefully with these tips about these settings will work. I'm certainly sure these tips will definitely help you out. I gotta say, anybody out there, have you taken advantage of any of the stream sales? I mean, not stream, but any of the Steam sales, because they have been quite incredible. I'll show you my list. It's quite insane, I gotta say, with everything that I have together on the list that I have. So Aiden, you're doing a PC build, right? I'm assuming you want to do a AM5 build, and you want it all white. So let's take a look at like ICE B850 motherboard. And we will look. How's something like this, right? Is this something more similar that you've been looking for? As this is about $239, you could get one actually for as low as $164.99, but this is a micro ATX board. If you do choose to get the micro ATX board, it is a bit smaller. I got my cart full at the moment. I complete the purchase on the list. I get you. You know what gets me too? I don't know how Steam knows, but even after I make all the purchases, I feel like I'm satisfied. I got all the games that I want. But for some reason, even after I make these purchases, then the right games come up that other games that I want. And then I realize that I don't have all the games that I want because I tried to pick up everything, including what was on my wish list. I have games that I had set on my wish list for at least 10 years. But now I just bought like about 13 games. And yes, 13 games that I purchased all at once because I assumed that's everything that I wanted. But then once I go back and they start pushing these other games in my face, I realize that isn't all the games that I actually want. What's up, Assassin? Yeah, so I gotta share my list with you guys because you're gonna think it's pretty insane after everything that I chose out. I did manage to get a lot of, I did get some of the Atlas games that I've been meaning to play. I'm a big fan of Persona 4 Golden. Is a great game. So I can say if you do choose to go to the Gigabyte Ice build here, you could go AORUS Elite, which is more the newer board. It has Wi-Fi 7. You could put an AM5 processor of your choice if you're looking for a certain amount of budget. A great recommendation that everybody recommends, especially if you are just starting your build here, you can go with a 7500F, as they're not as expensive. So say if we put together an order here that we're going to go ahead and choose the B850 AORUS Elite. So say we choose it, we're going to add it to the cart, and now we're going to go ahead and then I'm going to look up the 7500F to see if they have any in stock here. Now if you have a Micro Center near you, you can manage to get even better deals. If you do, let me know and we could take a look on the Micro Center website and see if they also have a deal there. So 7500F, again, a cheaper processor, only $140. Maxon Chinese motherboards are affordable and very good quality. I can't say I've tried Maxon, but I am curious to see how well they work. But I'm more used to the traditional boards such as from ASUS, Gigabyte. I do enjoy their motherboards a lot. So it's hard for me to speak on their motherboards because I haven't tested it. And they also, I know, are working with Intel with the graphics cards. They really push Intel on pushing the 48 gigabyte card, which isn't going to be really for a gaming or anything like that. It's going to be more for something like if you're going to be using it for LLMs, or if you're going to be using it for more of those type of tasks more than anything, to be honest. Because even the ray tracing cores in that, there's only like 20 in there. So this is what we have together for the build so far. We have Gigabyte B850 AORUS Elite Wi-Fi 7 ICE. And we do have the AMD Ryzen 5 7500F. Altogether, it's about $380. Now, if you're looking for you're gonna more than likely be looking for a white CPU cooler to go with it. If you want me to continue putting together the build, let me know. But so far, this is a total about $380. Does that sound about right with you, Aiden? I have to say, because I see that you have a white 9070 XT. So I'm assuming, let's look up ICE 9070 XT. That should come up. Here it is. Here goes one. Steel Legend RX 9070 XT. Oh, do I? I apologize. I must have accidentally hit the key when I was typing in the code. So here is the ASRock Steel Legend Radeon RX 9070 XT. This one's about $699.99 for this card right here. So you add that to the cart. So far, it's about $1,080. Assuming that if you're just looking for the motherboard, the GPU, and the processor itself, altogether it's about $1,093. So that's even cheaper, because I see that your limit was at $1,600. So does that sound right for you? Unless you were looking for the higher end processor, if you're trying to use like a 9800X3D with your build, you certainly can do it. Or are you including other components such as the RAM? Are you also including the CPU cooler? But this is what we have together so far. So hopefully this is what you're looking for, because I see that you listed just these components right here. A 9070 XT with the 1300, and it's gotten to 1600s. And you are also looking, where is it? That disappeared off the list. So, where is it? The motherboard and CPU. Right. So yeah, that's what the combination combined with the GPU itself too. But that's the build so far. But I got to share with you the list that is incredible, which I ended up picking up on the Steam sale, which is insane. So you guys, let me know what you think of this list. Let's see. I have it right here. It's funny because I already thought I had that list open up, but I'll pull it right up here. It is. That's another thing too. Let me know what you guys are interested in the Steam sale, because they have a lot of great things. I tried to look for like some Soul games and everything too, but they didn't really have anything like for the Soul games, at least. All the Souls games were all full price, but everything other than that, they do have some awesome deals here. And let me see. I'm going to have to share a different mode here. But here's a good example of the different things that they have on sale currently. there may be something that you may be interested in for your PC. And let me show you my list. Everything that I ended up purchasing. It's going to go dark for a minute, but it's this list right here. So let me know what you think. So some of these, like Max Payne 3, that's been sitting on my list forever. Oh, let me go back down here. Max Payne, wrong one. Max Payne 3 was on my list forever. I've been like really wanting to get that game for the longest. And I think it was sitting on my list for at least like 10 years, I would have to say, because I've always played the first and the second one. Then I had to get Neo. I ended up getting Doom Eternal because that was the only Doom that I haven't played. I got Persona 5. And then I ended up getting Kingdom Come because I heard a lot of great things about Deliverance 2. The Final Fantasy VII a twin pack, and Black Myth Wukong was also on my list as well. Oh, and I ended up getting Death Stranding, Metaphor, ReFantazio, and Lies of P. I ended up getting Metaphor because I saw that it was Game of the Year last year, and I do enjoy playing RPGs, so I ended up picking that up too. You ended up picking up both Nier and Ghost of Tsushima in your cart. That's awesome. I already have Ghost of Tsushima on my PS5. That's the only reason why I didn't end up getting it. But that's definitely a great game. A good pickup for that. And you ended up getting Max Payne 3. Yeah, that's funny. But it's one of the only games that I really haven't played. I feel like with Max Payne, they certainly should bring it back. Like, hopefully they do. Maybe because the thing about Max Payne that was really amazing was the whole bullet time. That was like the one of the game revolution features when it came to like the whole PS2 era and came to that. It was around that time when Max Payne was out, but that was something that everyone enjoyed for the most part. So with this PC build, let's go to Micro Center real quick because I want to show you guys this too. I gotta switch over the screen for you guys once again here. There we go. So the Micro Center, at Micro Center, they have some really great deals going on. And I gotta say, it was so tempting to go today because I know that they're gonna have these awesome deals. And if I could show you like the type of offers I would get for these the PCs that I have are just like ridiculous. Not like a good ridiculous, but just like people just trying to lowball practically. So right now, this is one of their combos, the Ryzen 7 7700X. This is the one that I was thinking of. And this one's a $349.99 for this combo. Right there. You really can't beat that deal. It's AMD B650, which is okay. That doesn't matter, especially if you're coming off an AM4 platform as it is already. And it also comes with DDR5. It comes with 6,000 megahertz, which is going to be the standard for if you want to hit the Infinity Cache. It also comes with the 7700X. It also has 32 gigabytes with it, and this is all for $350. This is an awesome deal for anyone who has a Micro Center close to them. I highly suggest it. I wonder if Newegg has anything close to it. Let's find out. Because I know Newegg is going to be very competitive, especially when it comes to the Black Friday, not Black Friday, but the Amazon Prime Day sales, which are coming up soon. I will have a video posted on it, not this week, but within the next week. It'll be on next Sunday, where I'll share the best deals for Amazon Prime deals. And you can also compare it with Newegg to see if that is something that you are looking for. Usually Newegg will be better to look for like the Intel deals, as it seems that Newegg and Intel are more of the combination that helps each other out more than anything. It seems Micro Center is more the place if you are looking for more of the AMD deals. But sometimes they go back and forth. And Newegg does also do some price matching as well if you do see something that use at Micro Center, and if there's one really far from you, there's no way you can get it, say it's like 200 miles from your house, then that is a strategy you can do. Awesome, Dexter. I can't wait for that PC build to go together. Hopefully you will show it off over in Discord. Make sure that you do. And if you go over to the right here, right in the front, there's an Intel deal. Of course there is. And it's all Intel processors. You see that? All Intel processors for sale because they are trying to offload them. Let's see on the AMD side. I know AMD actually has some decent deals too because they dropped their price a bit. If we go down here to the right here, this is what I really wanted to show you guys. So this is one of the deals that they offer. Like for example, AMD Ryzen 9 9950X3D. If you do purchase one, it actually comes with a free AIO. That is a great deal, especially for those who are looking for a build. Let's find out what type of AIO that it comes with. It also, if you do choose that component, they offer up to $150 off if you do pick out a motherboard with Newegg. And you can get up to $42 off your memory and up to $45 off your selected SSD. So they do have their own combination deal. You just go to build your combo, which I will share with you guys if you are trying to build or select a certain build. Or if you have any questions about building up either a gaming rig or if you're looking for one more for production usage, feel free to ask. But for this specific build, I'm just curious what they offer on the AMD Ryzen. What type of AIO that they offer. Let's find out. We're going to look this up real quick. And let's see. Where is it? 9950X3D. This isn't the right one. I bet this is... The thing you have to really be careful too when you do purchase off a Newegg is make sure that it's not from a third-party retailer. As you can see down here, it's going to say server queue. So that's not from, it's not from AMD, it's not from Newegg. So you want to make sure that you are purchasing directly from the retailer. In order to do that, just simply go up here to the top and go to sold by Newegg. Make sure you select that on. And let's go down here. Where is it? They stuffed it down pretty good. It's funny, it'll show up over onto the combos, but it's not coming up here. So it makes me wonder if it was, if it's sold out or, because that's a possibility too. Newegg will sometimes hide it out if it is sold out. But let's just go back. Maybe there's a way I can get through it, because I'm more curious about what type of AIO that they offer here. Let's see. And we'll click build with it. See, the good thing is now we can take a look at it. There we go. No, they have it in stock. Just didn't show up on the queue for some reason. So it comes with MSI's MagCore Liquid A13360 Black AIO. So if anyone's curious about it, that is what it currently comes with. As it's valued at $110, which is actually a pretty good deal. MSI's AIOs are actually pretty decent. If you guys ever saw that build I've done before, where I did like a full MSI build, where it was like an MSI case, MSI AIO, MSI practically everything, it came out really nice. And it was a pretty decent build. I think I built that with a, I would like to say 3070, I think. It was a little while ago when I did that build. And it was really quiet, actually. And it was a build that I think anybody would really enjoy for the most part, because MSI does have some great products, I gotta say. I already got the 7800 X3D bundle from my... nice. Awesome. I'm glad you got it. Ezekiel, what's good? Good to see you. Actually got my coffee right back here too. It's like stuffed over in the back. And the rest of the stuff is coming from Amazon on Tuesday. Beautiful. I can't wait to see it. Feel free to post it up on Discord. I will certainly share it as we all each answer each other's questions, or if you have any more, if you have any troubleshooting or anything like that, feel free to ask in Discord and I can feature it on live as well. Yeah, and it's in the same cup too. I gotta get one of my own cups and just have it printed on it. The same that Starbucks cup that I ended up getting for a Christmas gift. I love this thing because of how big it is. But hopefully the weather is good for everybody out there, like depending on where you are. I've been seeing like how hot it's been getting, especially in the Northeast region. My friend texted me the other day and he showed me that his car was like at 109 degrees, which is insane. And it was even higher actually. He put the thermostat in there and it was hitting like almost 130 degrees, which is like equivalent to like about like 55, 56 Celsius about. Thank you. Oh, and you got your 50. Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait for you to put it in. I bet you're stoked to do it, right? To install it into your PC. That's going to be quite the game changer. And I do have to say, as of now, too, when it comes to the NVIDIA drivers, it seems like it's definitely has improved. There has been less issues when it comes to the NVIDIA side. I haven't seen any real issues since, I'd say, like maybe about since like 3 weeks ago. Would be probably the last time I've seen issues. Other than that, now it's been solid with the newer drivers. So you actually got it like at a really good time. Here in Italy this upcoming week, we average 40 degrees. Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely going to be pretty hot over there. But at least it's more comfortable. I've heard guys over in the UK complaining about their temperature over there. Like they're over at about 25 degrees, I think. 25 degrees Celsius. And they're complaining because, again, I could understand because they don't have any AC units out there and how their houses are made of bricks, so everything kind of acts like an oven. So all that built up heat will just like hold inside of wherever you are staying at because the lack of AC units, which is pretty insane. With my Crosshair Hero, awesome. So it almost sounds like you just have like a very similar build to what I have too. People in the UK are not built for that kind of weather. Yeah, I agree. And that's what I was saying. I think anybody out there, like from the UK, that would come down to a place like Florida, where I'm at, it's going to be very hot for them. In fact, the weather today is like it's about 28 degrees Celsius, but because of how humid it is, it brings it up closer to about like 31. So it would be uncomfortable for anybody out there. Most of them would probably want to get into a place with AC. I am getting the 7900 XTX. You are my op, Ezekiel. That's awesome. 7900 XTX is also a great GPU to have. It's also very future proof. Regardless of what people say about needing more VRAM, I'd say 24 gigabytes is certainly the sweet spot. 32 gigabytes is certainly overkill, but it is good for anybody out there who is going to attempt a game on something like 4K at 240 hertz resolution or at 8K or anything like that. You're going to end up using more VRAM because of it. But the 7900 XTX will certainly push those expectations, and I would see that you would have no issues with any type of display that you would be playing on. Yes, I do go to the gym. It's funny that you asked that because it's this morning actually. It wasn't a gym day for me this morning, but what I usually do on my weekends, I'll end up just like getting up really early in the morning and I actually go on a beach run. So I actually went to do what I do is high intensity interval training. I'll go run for about 45 minutes, 45 minutes to about 50 minutes in the sand, because I prefer to run on the sand because it's more soft, first off, compared to running on something like concrete or on Tatar. And I also enjoy the challenge of running on the sand because, as you know, it's not easy to run on the beach. Bidwell says, I have a 7800 XT, 16 gigabytes, even at 30. Yeah, exactly. So it's like your 24 gigabytes is certainly the sweet spot for sure. So what is the difference between DisplayPort and HDMI? Well, the difference between the two, DisplayPort is great for those who want to be using it for something like gaming. HDMI, it depends on the version now. DisplayPort 2. It's at 2 now. DisplayPort, now I'm mixing up my words. DisplayPort 2, it can push up to about 8K, up to about 60, I think, 8K 60. And now when it comes to HDMI, it can push about nearly the same. Now the difference between the two is depending on the versions. You have to have version 2.1. Now HDMI did make a new standard where they have a 2.2 where it pushes a incredible amount of speed on there, where it can push up to 8K, and I think it's like up to 144 now. But again, we're not even reaching those levels, so they don't even matter. DisplayPort was more the standard because before 2.1, everything under that wouldn't display properly on those monitors. It would not be able to keep up on those type of speeds, especially if you're trying to play on 4K 144, or if you're trying to play on something like, even like it would have trouble on 4K, like 4K at 100 hertz, I think it even had trouble at. But its DisplayPort certainly has more flexibility, and it sends much better connection for those who want a better display. But again, like, because of the times now, because of HDMI 2.1 and 2.2, it has certainly improved a lot since then. You look some that lift. I noticed that when you were. Yes, I do lift actually. Typically throughout the week, I will work out on my my legs, my shoulders, my biceps, my triceps. I work my whole body. So typically, I actually work out like 6 times a week. 5 times out the week are gym time, and then 1 day out the week is going to be going to do my runs on the beach. I even sometimes think about doing it like twice a week, but I know it'd be too much for my body. I need to give it time to recover, which is also critical. If anybody works out there, definitely don't underestimate rest. It's very important to get plenty of rest if you are looking to working out. That actually helps a lot when it comes to development of your muscles. So, recommending me an NVIDIA GPU with 16 gigabytes VRAM in the same budget as 5070. Yeah, I mean, the 5070 is really good, actually. When using it, I was pretty impressed with it. I used the Zotac, I think it was Zotac RTX 5070 that I had earlier in the year, and it seemed that it actually performs well. If anybody out there that has NVIDIA cards, I'm sure they would all agree with me that they don't really use the frame generation as much because it seems like it takes away from the performance of the game, and you don't really get the to enjoy the game. Meaning, even when you have the frame generation on, it almost seems like there's always some sort of issue, like it doesn't really run correct, like you have some weird ghosting or some glitching. But when you have the frame generation off, it tends to work better. And even with the 5070, it still performs really well without that frame generation. So it's just like an option in there. But it's also good to run DLSS, as they'll list them as 2 separate entities now, because they'll ask if you're using the transformer model, which is that whole thing that they're pushing now, where the new version of DLSS, it's some crazy number now. It's like 4.1 something. It's like 1.110 or something like that. But with this new generation, it's going to use 20% less relying on the transformer model, which means it's basically running off the software instead of the actual hardware. So, oh, you're asking to recommend 16. Okay, so either 16 gigabytes of VRAM in the same budget. Okay. So, which ones are you actually trying to look for? Just NVIDIA GPU with 16 gigabytes of VRAM in the same budget as a 5070? You're asking that question. Like, for example, like a 4070 Ti is something that you're asking compared to like a 5070. Because then that has like 16 gigabytes, I'm assuming, and you want to know which one would be the better one to get versus 12 gigabytes of 5070, right? So I tend to go to the gym after dinner, eventually before 10 p.m. The place is too crowded. I agree. Usually when I go to the gym, I try to go like early in the morning. I'll go like 5 in the morning, like right when they open, because I know that there's not going to be many people there. And then plus you have the people that go that just likes to film themselves while working out, which isn't a big deal. It's just it becomes a problem when you are just trying to get your workout in and all the machines are full. So I get exactly where you're coming from. What's up, per L now? I'll just call you B. What's up, B? Chappie, yep, thanks you for the recommendation of the 4070 Ti. Yes, I kind of figured that's where you were headed. The 4070 Ti would definitely be the greater option to go, especially because you have more VRAM. The 5070 is great and all, but again, it comes to depending on how reliant you are when it comes to a DLSS more than anything. But I can say the 4070 Ti is still great. The 40 series is still great. So if anyone out there has one, I would say you don't have to get rid of it. It still performs really well compared to the 50 series. I honestly thought the 40 series wasn't going to compare to the 50 series, but now it's the opposite. But again, we'll see how the 40 series, not the 40 series, but the 50 series Super, when that releases next year, I certainly can expect some different things. Everyone can, especially when it comes to say like the 5080 Super, because more than likely that's going to have 24 gigabytes of G7. And then when the 5070 Ti Super comes out, that's going to have at least 18 to 20 gigabytes of VRAM in there. So expect that to be released, but again, you're going to have to wait like at least 6 or 7 months before that actually gets released. So is the 3060 Ti good to buy right now for Yeah, absolutely. For $200, yeah, that's actually a great deal. The 3060 Ti back then, I can say, is the equivalent of it's practically the equivalent of a 4060 Ti, and I would say nearly like not even a 5070, like right between, but it could actually outperform the 5060. Not the 4060 can, but the 3060 was like one of the true powerhouses, I can say, before. Because it almost seems like every generation that passes, it's almost like we go down a tier. So you can think of it as, it's like, it should be up higher, like at least a tier and a half, you can say. So certainly, a 3060 Ti for $200 is a great deal. So if you are trying to purchase that, that's awesome. Thank you, Kemi Dory, for following the channel. Appreciate it. I just saw it. Hopefully the animations are working. Sometimes the animations are kind of picky. Sometimes they like to work. Sometimes they don't. But hopefully it did work. I should have my speaker on so I know that that animation kicked on or not. But hopefully it did, at least. But once again, thank you for following the channel. And yeah, it's no problem. No problem at all. What are you putting it in, by the way? What type of board do you have? I gotta ask, out of curiosity. Also, I do have this package here that I will open up. I wanted to open it up later, but this is something that everyone might be excited about, depending on what it is. And I promised to do a video on this. Originally, I was going to do it with the PC build, but apparently that didn't fall through quite yet due to the timing and due to slow sales recently. I can't be able to justify being able to do another PC build just quite yet. Not yet, at least. Because I would really love to test out this Gigabyte Z890 and see this 30% enhancement that they're talking about with just this BIOS update when it comes to Intel. Now, as you know, on this channel, of course, it's not biased. So depending on whichever topic you're talking about, whether if it's Intel or AMD, NVIDIA or AMD, or anything along those lines, feel free to ask. And I will just give you a straight no BS answer when it comes to it. As I mentioned, like a true favorite of mine for this year when it comes to graphics cards is the RX 9070 XT out of all the cards that I tried. Again, because of the value that is there and for the use that everyone will take advantage of. Oh, okay. So you're going to stream and play some Star Wars Battlefront 2? Yes. Have fun, man. Yeah, that's a great game, by the way. But yeah, have a lot of fun. Thank you for coming in. Burpino. So it is an A320M board CPU. It's a Ryzen 5 5500. Okay, that's a pretty decent. Board actually. And let me open this up. It's kind of really secure. You can see like how they really taped it up here. But let me get my trusty box opener here. You ready to see what is in here? What do you guys think it is? Now, I don't know how I should open it. Maybe just start at the corners. That's probably the safest bet. Yeah, I'll start from this like paper tape side. And from the bottom. They packaged this well. I gotta say, it's like really tight. Ha. Okay. Yeah, thank you. I know it could be tough to catch lives every once in a while. I think it's going to get thrown off the whole schedule once we get to once I go to Taiwan, it's going to be a lot different. So I'm curious how the scheduling is going to be for everybody out there. And I will definitely let everybody know in advance before I do start a stream. And hopefully you guys do attend. I'm going to try to go to NVIDIA's new location if it's available out there yet. But I tried asking my wife if it's available, and she doesn't know yet. So once I'm out there, I'll try to go to NVIDIA's new spot. Because they're supposed to be building a factory, or not factory, but a company there, NVIDIA. And we'll see if it's there or not. But more than likely, it's probably not, because I think they just announced it earlier in the year. Maybe they have the foundation, but it'd be nice just to see the site. And definitely a ton of the PC stores out there, I gotta say. I'm a bit worried about the power supply. It is 500 watts. With 500 watts, yeah, that is a bit low, but for a 3060 Ti, you might be in the clear. Now, if I'd be a little bit more worried if you go on like 3070 maybe, then you would require a bit more of a power supply. There we go. All right, so anyone wants to take a guess what this is? They covered it really good in bubble wrap. Whoa, what's in here? Man, that's more paper. What's this? Is this anything? I don't think so. No, I don't think this is anything. I hope it's not anything. I don't want to get in trouble for throwing the box out. I don't think it is, though. I think it's just dense paper. So Chapley says, what ATX Mobo should I go for with the Ryzen 7 9700X? And need 12 plus 1 VRMs, Gen 5 slots, good audio support. With a good ATX board that you're looking for. Many of the good news is many of the motherboards have more than 12, usually, typically. So are you looking, do you have a certain budget? I'm assuming, I would say go B850. If you're trying to go with a motherboard, go B850. The ASUS TUF B850 motherboard's a really good one. That sounds like that will fit your needs, and it has decent audio support. Or you can even go B650, because technically the B650s actually have great audio, especially for those who are trying to say like get the X670. They have great audio still, if you don't mind stepping back a chipset. But if you want to be on the most current chipset, I would say go B850. Can you recommend a budget GPU for a 1440p gaming? A budget GPU I can recommend. I would say get a 90. I would say get like a 9060 XT. I would think would be sufficient enough. That would be a great budget GPU to go with. And don't underestimate AMD. They have excellent GPUs. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you for complimenting the build back here. I do have other builds I do want to share with you guys too, for sure. I'm thinking about MSI B850 Gaming Max Wi-Fi. So if you're thinking, that's perfect. MSI Gaming Max Wi-Fi is a great one to go with. The audio in it, I would check the audio codec. I think it should be relatively decent in it. Usually I go into the specifications and compare. Let me take a look. MSI. That 7900 XTX is an awesome card. Let's take a look together here. B850. And we're going to go to the specs here. What's up, Derek? Is this the board that you're looking for, right? Oh, wait. Gaming Max. There we go. They have the Plus. Maybe you mean the Tomahawk Max? The Plus has, let's take a look. I always go down here to the memory side, and I look for the audio codec. Audio codec is the ALC 897. And if you compare it to the Tomahawk Max, specification. Not that. Getting all mixed up here. Let me see. It is. Did I pass it? I probably did. There it is. ALC 4080 codec. Okay. So you have the Realtek ALC 4080 codec versus. Now, it gives you indication of what it supports. It gives you up to 32-bit, 384 kilohertz on the front panel, and SPDIF. Also, when you do purchase a case, make sure it has, it's not a dual setup to where, meaning where it's a dual input as for a 3.5mm jack. You want to make sure to have two separate ports. That certainly does make a difference. Well, unless you're planning to, I don't think you're planning to install like any type of like sound cards or anything. It seems like almost a thing that nobody does anymore. But you have ALC 4080, the Plus. Okay, so I kind of figured that. So let's go back to the Plus. And the audio codec, you can see, is slightly different. ALC 897. Again, this one's a bit lower compared to the Tomahawk Max. But if you're thinking of this board, it's a good choice. Now let's compare it. I just want to compare it with the B850 TUF motherboard. So that way we can get a nice even comparison of all of them. Let's see. Audio. ALC 1220p. So this one's actually a really good one here. So if you're looking for audio wise, the ALC 1220p is a good one. And Gigabyte's version would be the AORUS. Gigabyte AORUS Elite, I think it would be. B850. And not support. We want to go under specifications. That's what we want to go under. Specifications. Now, let me zoom in. They like to write really small for some reason. ALC. Okay, so they use practically the same codec as ASUS when it comes to it. So out the bunch. So as you see out the bunch, it seems that I would recommend getting either ASUS's or Gigabyte's if you go with either one. Because they both have a better codec when it comes to audio. If that's what is one of your main keys that you are looking for. But yeah, take a look at them, see what you think, and let me know if that would work. I don't know if it's a little bit higher. If they do have other boards as well. I'm thinking, I know ASUS has a B850 Plus themselves, but I think it's just called a Prime. I think the ASUS Prime. Thank you. So, Kami says, is the Corsair iCUE H150 Elite LCD a good cooler? It's absolutely a great cooler. It's one, honestly, when it comes to coolers, they're actually one of my favorites when it comes to AIOs, actually, because of how silent they are. What I don't like about Corsair's Elite coolers is that they're great at cooling. They're great at doing their job. But the only negative, I gotta say, is the fact that sometimes Corsair iCUE can give you issues. I'm sure you already heard about the infamous issues when it comes to iCUE. I've actually got a ton of videos on different fixes and repairs for them, even on AIOs for them. But they're not, again, it's not hardware related. It's more software related more than anything when it comes to it. But they do have excellent coolers, I gotta say, for the most part. If you don't really care for the RGBs and the LCD screen as much, then iCUE wouldn't be a problem for you. iCUE is there just for you to set your different colors and your different type of GIFs that you would like to use onto your screen. But most of the time it can work comfortably now. I just hope it does improve when it comes to iCUE 6, but it is a cooler I can recommend. The Big C says, is the MSI MPG X870E Carbon Wi-Fi? Absolutely. I give a thumbs up on Carbon Wi-Fi's motherboards. Great motherboards, I gotta say. I'd certainly say it's worth pulling the trigger on something like that. Thank you. Where do you live? I live in Florida. Florida in the U.S. If nobody's familiar where Florida is, I'm sure you guys already know, but yeah, I'm located in South Florida. Do you recommend any other cooler? Depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking specifically for a 360 AIO? There's a lot of great coolers out there. NZXT actually makes a great one. The NZXT Kraken's good. Or are you looking... Lianli actually has this really cool one that's about to come out. It's dope looking. It's or TRX even. They have this like 360 cover. But again, there's a lot of great AIOs out there. If you're looking for something more on the cheaper side, Deepcool also makes great coolers actually. X870E Carbon Wi-Fi is what I have. iCUE equals headaches. Yes. So many people has asked me different problems. I'm surprised on Discord nobody has shot me iCUE questions yet, to be honest. And because that is one of the most difficult tasks to run into, especially when your devices aren't working correctly on iCUE. They tend to, for some reason, iCUE will kind of be invisible practically to your system. So if you try to open it up, it won't open, and then you go to try to uninstall it, it doesn't exist. And sometimes there's these really weird headaches when it comes to iCUE. But again, like, they do have decent hardware. They just have to improve. And I've contacted Corsair about this, and I told them, like, you guys really have to improve iCUE 6. I actually gave them a list of everything they need to fix. And they didn't really say too much about the list, but they just took my recommendations. So hopefully they take it serious. Again, I'm not nobody big or anything like that. Just the more complaints that Corsair has when it comes to their software or any problems, please let them know, because then they will know it's more serious than what it is. Because if it goes unreported, then they don't know, and you can't really blame Corsair for that. So Lian Li Hydro Shift 2 is a new one. Shame it came out after. It's always like that. It's always like anytime you buy new PC components, right when you get it, the new version or a better one even comes out. So what we have here, which I want to show you guys, is we have a Western Digital blue. Thanks to Western Digital for sending this out here. It's Western Digital's 4 terabytes of SSD here. And what I want to do with this, you guys are probably asking, why did you get a blue instead of a black? And the reason being is because with this, I want to run a test to see how well games run off of something like a Western Digital blue compared to something that is PCI Express 5. So you'll see if there's really a difference between the two, if it really matters. I'm sure a lot of you can imagine what the answer is going to be. But again, this will just prove the point that you can certainly get more capacity and enjoy more games than actually getting a faster drive. So you don't have to spend $400 on a 4 terabyte drive, or $500, because they can run pretty expensive. I think some are even up to $800 for 4 terabytes versus something where you can get like for $200 or $300, and you could get much more games on it. So we will be putting in this into the gaming system right behind me into that PC, and then we will be running. I'll be putting some games on there to see how well it runs. And we'll do some tests, see if there's really any performance difference. So, thought it was just my luck. So, for a Ryzen 7 9700X and a RTX 5070, might upgrade to RTX 6000 series GPU in the future, maybe a RTX 6070. How many watts of PSU do I recommend? Now, when it comes to this is a great question, because a lot of people are concerned about future-proofing. Now, as you know, what has happened has definitely drastically changed the game when NVIDIA requires more powers for their power supplies. Not for their power supplies, for their GPUs. And because of that, that begs that same question. What I would highly suggest, the perfect type of power supply to get currently, and if you are planning to get, like, say, a 6070 in the future, I would suggest at least 1000 watts is always safe. Now, if you're planning to upgrade to anything bigger, that's going to be a different story. But what I am hoping is that NVIDIA is done with pushing more power through their cards, because, again, it was unnecessary. They only pushed more power on these cards because they're still based on the same node, meaning they're still based on that 4 nanometer node as the 40 series. The only difference is the architecture is different, because you're going from Ada Lovelace to Blackwell, and because of that, that makes the only way they can really push more power out of it is adding literally more power. So I'm hoping for the next chipset that it's going to change. It's definitely the node size has certainly going to change because of it, and hopefully it requires less power, because then that would just prove the whole point about, like, Moore's law when it comes to, like, chipsets, because they keep saying Moore's law is dead, but it seems like it really isn't, because, again, you're still requiring more power for a chip, which is pretty ridiculous. But anyway, 1,000 watts would be the safest bet. 850 watts would probably be the minimum I would suggest. So let me see. Joe Miles says, I have a ROG Crosshair 8 formula motherboard. Great motherboards, by the way. I gotta say, I do miss that whole generation. MSI RTX 3060 and a Ryzen 7 2700X with 32 gigabytes of RAM. What CPU could give me the most core performance out of it? So, because you are still running, okay, so you are running on an 8. This is a while ago. So, if I'm looking at an 8, are you, let me just take a look at something. Let me put this down real quick. So, you're technically still on AM3 then, I would assume. If I remember correctly. I think that's AM3 board. So, a 2700. Let me see. I'm just double checking here because I want to make sure I give you the most accurate information here. So you have the 8 Hero. This is AM4. Okay. So it's still considered a AM4 board from what I see. Okay. Because it is a AM4 board, the best you can do on something like this would be like a, are you using it for gaming? First off, I have to ask you, Joe. Are you just using it for gaming? If you are, then I can give you a good recommendation. Like I would say like a 5600 XTD would do great. Well, Samsung 994 terabyte version is getting cheaper because of the 9100 series. That is certainly true. Again, that's PCI Express. That's PCI Express 4. So if you are thinking of going PCI Express 5, that's a whole different story. For GPU CPU combo, which PSU do I recommend? So let me go back. So with your type of combination for a Ryzen 7 9800 X3D and an RTX 5090, how much you need the minimum? What I would suggest for a minimum of that. Sorry, I missed that a bit earlier. The minimum you would need for a combination like that would be at least like 12 to 1300 watts on a power supply. So something like that. So, okay, it seems like some people also answered your question. But yeah, so you would need at least that much in order to, and for power supplies, I highly recommend Seasonic. Seasonic's really good when it comes to their power supplies. Especially if you go to their platinum line of Seasonic, that is one of the best PSUs you can get out there if that's what you're looking for in the industry, I gotta say. Now there are other options. MSI is also really good. Their M-Meg series when it comes to their power supplies, where they have the yellow connectors on there. If you're worried about any type of physical connection to the GPU, if you want to make sure that it's sitting flush and it's sitting properly. Those are also great power supplies. That's actually what I have right behind me too, and it runs great. Also, what else? Another one I can recommend. Corsair is good, but the only thing I don't like about Corsair's power supplies is that they're really rigid, and everyone who used Corsair power supplies knows exactly what I mean. They're very stiff cables. I would highly recommend different cables if you do choose to go with Corsair. But those will be more than likely the top 3 I would recommend for power supply usage. Now, yes, gaming mostly. Okay, so for gaming mostly, 5600 X3D will certainly resolve that issue. If you use that, it will feel like a tremendous leap, for sure, if you switch out that processor. Kami, any 1200 with ATX 3.1. What's up? Oh, what's up, Takuma? Good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. I use Lian Lee's Edge. That's another great one, actually. That's a great one. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I actually got one just like sitting in my drawer right here. NZXT PSUs, yeah, they're actually pretty decent. They're not bad. Again, they're not on the higher side of the tier. They're a bit more on the lower side, I would say, on NZXT. But if you want like true quality, I highly recommend Seasonic. Seasonics are really good. I just want to show you the difference here. Let me see. Hopefully you got, okay, so I got some Seasonic here. I hope these are Seasonic. I just didn't throw them in a Seasonic pouch. Let me just double check it. Yeah, these are Seasonic. Okay, so here's like a Seasonic one, and here's Corsair. Okay, I'll actually match their cables, their PCI Express cables. Okay, so here's Corsair, right? This is theirs. Hopefully that's clear. And if I bend it, you see how rigid it is? So you can imagine how much of a headache it is if you're trying to route these cables like through a case. I mean, even this, like even the back end is very stiff. Like you see how it just goes right back. And you compare it to something like Seasonics, which is like this. And look how nice and flexible it is. You could really maneuver the wires the way you want. That's why I highly recommend them. They're really good. And their power supplies are excellent. So that's why I always recommend something like Seasonic. MSI's not bad. What else I got in here? I have thermal takes in here too, actually. All right, thermal take. This is their 12-volt high power port. Look how stiff that is. Yeah, that's even worse. That's even worse than Corsair. But yeah, I highly recommend getting Seasonic. Oh, really? Yeah, and now you know why. What's up, Dilshad? Sorry if I missed you. Did you know ASUS PSUs, Vantex Revolt PSUs are coming from this? Yeah, it's funny. It's true that they do share manufacturers when it comes to ASUS. They do go off of Seasonic, and of course you got to go from the best. So again, Seasonic is actually the manufacturer that many of these other companies like to use. So that's why it's like highly recommended. MSI is like the other alternate. That's like one of the exceptions I have to say is really good. ASUS is good too, but you're paying for a Seasonic practically. And you can get the same thing out of Seasonic if you just go with them. What Seasonic PSU would you recommend for the 5090? Again, 1300 watt. Get the platinum. I'll actually show you. Let's go here, and I'll actually show you. Because I haven't got to share the screen much today. So Seasonics, I think it is, what is it called again? Because they have so many listed, I always recommend their platinum ones. You want to get their ATX. I think currently they don't really have any ATX 3.1s. They still have ATX 3s. Yes. That's what they currently have is ATX 3. Here goes 3.1 actually. This one's a good one. And this one is for 850 watts. I want to go to Prime TX. Yes. That's what I'm thinking of. Prime TX. Right, it said it right off my mind. I was trying to remember what it was. But they have a very deep line. They actually have this one Seasonic one that's really dope. In fact, it's... Damn, they don't really have anything. I'm just going to have to Google it real quick. So we'll go back into my regular screen here while I try to find it. Yes, perfect. The TX 1300 is a nice one. You read my mind, Takuma. In fact, that's actually one of the power supplies. I actually put that in the 9070 XT build. Here we go. Well, this is how it looks like. Right there. Look how premium that looks right there. When it comes to quality, definitely think Seasonic when it comes to it. Oh, really? The thing is, I have to be honest here when it comes to like power supplies. I never get the big draw when it comes to using something like Noctua fans on a power supply. Because, to be honest, a lot of them are quiet. The most noisiest power supply I've ever dealt with, and it honestly wasn't even that bad, was Thermaltake's. Thermaltake's 1600 watt power supply. And the reason being why is because it wasn't while the system was on load or while the system was on, but when the system is, when you put the system to sleep, if you push the power button to put your PC to sleep, it would then turn on after to cool off the power supply, like for probably like about 3 or 4 seconds, and then it would shut off. But most power supplies, they're practically at 0 decibels because they don't really use that energy when the PC is on. Most of them will only kick on if they really have to. So again, it's like, I feel it's more of a waste of money to get a Noctua edition power supply than just a regular power supply. So I had the 1000 watt power PSU, but I was concerned with the power draw, so then I moved up to 1300 watts. It's a good bet, safe move. It's always better to have a little bit more power. It doesn't hurt. It's certainly better than having less power. Because if you have less power, then of course you can run into issues such as overloading the power supply. Then you run into problems such as your components are not working correctly, or maybe your PC won't even turn on, and that becomes a whole headache. But thank God for modular power supplies, and that's something I also have to highly recommend. If you do pick out a power supply, please get modular. Make sure to get modular, because it will make your life way easier if you do have to replace a power supply than replacing all the cables and the power supply itself. So I use a Seasonic cable, 2x8 pin, to my 12 volt high power port cable in white due to my ASUS PSU, lol. Because my ASUS Store 2 has one big flaw. It's not a white version. Oh man, yeah, it's hard to get white versions of something. I gotta say, depending on especially when you go with a particular brand, sometimes it's hard to find like all white hardware. Sometimes you'll get lucky to find some parts, and as soon as you do, you'll want to get it. But it's really odd. Sometimes some of the white hardware can be cheaper, or sometimes it can be more expensive depending on how it comes together. But every time I think of a white PC build, and I know this is a throwback here, but this always makes me think of this. And I gotta share this with you guys because you guys might know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the Cooler Master Storm white build. It always makes me think of this. I don't know why. Like, anytime when I think of white PC builds, I think of this Stormtrooper. Or this, they called it the Striker. Let me go back here. Paying extra for white parts would drive me mad. I mean, there's always the option of painting them. I don't know if anyone's comfortable doing that, but you can paint them if you really want to. You just have to be careful. Now that I look at it, it's not really all that white as I thought it was. And I'll show you. The picture's just loading up here, but here it is. For some reason, it makes me think of this. This is like a much older case, but like I automatically think of these type of cases, the Cooler Master Storm cases. I don't know if anybody remembers these. Yeah, I'm not comfortable enough to do that. I want to paint my GPU, but I'm too scared. Yeah, performance over art, I'll admit, white PC builds are beautiful. I agree. They do have a beautiful aesthetic to it, and they certainly stand out. But the trick is, I feel to have a good white PC build, you need to have like the right room too, because once you have like something that will throw it off, like some sort of, the good thing is it's kind of a neutral color similar to black, so it might be able to blend into anything. But again, it's like if you have a black PC monitor, you might prefer to get a white monitor instead. But they are beautiful though. And for some reason, I always think of these builds though. Leanly's another one where they have really nice builds. I want all blacked out PC. Yeah, blacked out PCs are also nice. I really wanted to do, and maybe later in the year I will certainly do it, is like a stealth build. Because currently, even the Z890, I was thinking of doing that build with it, like a stealth build. But the problem is it does have RGBs on it, so it's still going to throw it off. To have a true stealth build, it can't have any RGBs on the list. So when we do this project together, we'll certainly take a look and figure it out and see what type of PC case, what type of that won't be standoffish or have any real RGBs in it. But we'll definitely take a look into that and see a true stealth PC build. Well, until the RGBs, anytime they start to kick in, you notice right away. It's like you can disable them though. If anyone's curious about if you do want to disable your RGBs, most of you can. You just have to go to the BIOS and disable your RGBs. But if you have other controllers for your RGB, say you like have RGB keyboard, that's obviously not going to be controlled in the BIOS level. It's got to be controlled via software. So most software will allow you to shut off the RGBs if you don't want them on. If you do want them on, obviously the vice versa. You can turn them on through the BIOS. You can turn them on through the software, and you can set your colors the way you would want to. Of course, the most headache people have when it comes to RGBs is most people have different components that are on their PC build. Nobody really has a true full-on, say a full-on ASUS build. They'll have something that'll be slightly off, maybe Corsair fans to say, even though they have the plugins for it, ASUS. We all know it just doesn't quite work perfect together. So you will have to control two pieces of software for it to either work right, or you can use open program or open source programs such as OpenRGB to control them. So, and there was a version in white, so I don't spend again. The ASUS is very good. Yes, ASUS is awesome. I'm performance with aesthetics as well. I do have a white build here. It's the right here, the ASUS ROG Ally. That's the closest white I got in here. That and the cooler is actually white. Some people can dig the aesthetic. Some people don't really like it, having a white cooler. I didn't think it would be that much of a difference, especially because it's mostly RGBs in that build anyway. So, would you recommend additional, guys, are you more aesthetic? That's a great question out there. Are you guys more about aesthetic builds or just pure performance? So I'll leave that up there. I'll leave Kami's question up there. That's a great question. Would you recommend additional gimmicky cooling fan setup for a motherboard VRM? One more 90mm fan blowing into the VRM heatsinks other than MOS fans. Now, when it comes to that, I feel like, honestly, it's not really necessary. I just got to ask, what are you planning to do with the board? Because it certainly sounds like you are going to do something pretty intensive. Are you planning on overclocking? Is it like a lot of overclocking? You could do it if you want, but honestly, having 14 VRMs should be decent enough, I think. But if you are, what I would do though is track the temperature, see how well they're working. If they're getting more hot than you're liking, then I would get like a fan setup for it. They do have them. I have Lian Li fans, Corsair RAM, MSI motherboard. Nice. All kinds of RGBs. Exactly. Slightly overclock on 9950X3D. Okay, so if you're just doing a slight overclock, I wouldn't worry about it as much. All right, if you're going extreme, like if you're going crazy, then again, most people don't even use up to like 5 VRMs. So I honestly wouldn't worry about the extra fan. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe you are doing a bigger project than I think that you're doing. But whichever it is, just track your temperatures. See how hot your VRMs actually get. And if they were getting more hot than you like, again, you use something like HW Info 64. And then you can add more fans or more fans into your build. Specifically for your VRMs if you want. But more than likely, I think you should be pretty much good. So, aesthetic and performance. That's a good answer. I'm going to undervolt. Undervolting is the way, especially when you have an NVIDIA card. Even AMD, like both cards, I can say you can comfortably overvolt. That's like the bigger thing than doing overclocks. Before, it was about trying to push your card to the limits, getting a little bit more wattage into your card. But now it's almost like everyone wants to do the opposite, try to get more performance, but undervolt it. Oh my god, RGB war. Can you imagine that? There is going to be. Okay, you know how you start a war? So, in your opinion, everybody's opinion in here, out of all the RGB companies, which one has the best RGBs? In which one do you feel out of all of them? I'm including ASUS, Corsair, Razer, all of them. Which one has the best RGBs out of all of them? So minor undervolt actually can actually increase in performance too. Yes, that's the crazy part. Takuma says, I give up on Corsair with RGBs systems. I go with Vantex MV7 case with a build in RGB headers and fan controller with D30 RGB fans. Super effective. Oh, certainly. I can understand why a lot of people give up on Corsair, because it almost seems like once they go off of a product, like once they step off their old line, oh, there goes my light. I gotta fix this thing. I think it's my ballast on this light that went bad, and I gotta get a new one. But anyway, just as I can understand the frustration when it comes to Corsair, and the reason being is because anytime they update their product here, then they obviously almost like forget about that product, and then it will have issues into a Corsair iCUE. So I completely get it. I gotta turn on the fan for this friggin' thing. I'll be right back. It's only gonna take a second. There we go. It's almost like the sensor doesn't work on it, on that ballast. So it's like it doesn't trigger the fan coming on. I wonder if it had to do with the firmware update. So that's something I gotta look for that light. So now it shouldn't shut off again. So while I'm limited by my poverty GPU, I don't think it allows voltage changes. A lot of them do, but again, you don't want to mitigate the risk if you don't have to. Usually when it comes to GPUs, I don't really recommend touching them unless you really have to, or you're an enthusiast, then you can. But again, you can always mess with it slightly. You can do like a slight undervolt to see how it takes it, and just run it through constant firmware test. I will actually be having a video on it, on trying to get the most out of your GPUs, whether if it's NVIDIA or AMD. There will be 2 different videos coming up in July, I think, like about later in July. And it'll be based on either NVIDIA, or if you're going AMD for your undervolt. and trying to figure out the best performance for it. So, guys, is a VA monitor good for gaming? VA monitors are great for gaming. If they're also pretty good when you're watching movies, but for like everyday usage, it might bother some people because it almost looks like ghosting when you're using it, and it's not going to be very clear on text. So if you're using it for programming, it can be quite the headache because it's not going to be very clear. But if you're not into doing things like programming, or you're not planning to do spreadsheets or anything like that, or any type of text, then I really want to worry about it. But it is good for doing things like gaming, and it's also great for movies even, because the colors are actually pretty good on VA. So when your system crashes every 5 minutes because you're already and it's a resource hog. Sometimes it really can be. Like if you look at Corsair's iCUE, you'd be surprised how much it takes up. Like almost like nearly immediately, if I turn on my PC, hardware info and Corsair iCUE will have conflicts at a time, which is kind of ridiculous. Yes, that's exactly. Just as Tarazine mentions, it does have like ghosting, as I mentioned. Some people it may bother, and again, some it may not. So it just depends on how you feel about it. You have to experience it to really see if you like it or not. But most people would be, I will tell you what the majority of people will enjoy using. That's going to be on a regular level. On a more normal level, I would say going IPS is great. IPS is more the standard and the better way to go for most people out there, and it's also not expensive. What I would recommend using for many people out there, if you have the cash flow to do it, and it is also getting more cheaper, is going OLED. OLED is amazing to game on. Despite what you hear about burn-in and all this other stuff, it's really not that big of an issue as it used to be. We're on 4th to 5th generation OLED now. So most of the problems when it comes to OLED, they will have pixel cleaning, they will have pixel adjustments, and they will have constant movement on the OLED screens to where it won't end up messing up your screen to where you'll have burn-in. So far from all the OLED screens that I have zero burn-in. So I can tell you OLED is certainly the way to go, and it is also low latency. And yes, by poverty I mean that. Well, I get what you mean. It's because you know what it is. You spend all your money on a RTX 5090. Everyone does. You spend a good $3,000 on it. You probably had to sell maybe your other lung for it, so that way you can purchase it. And now you're indebted to this GPU that should last you at least a good year and a half before the 6090 gets released. That's the ridiculous part. My question is, how would everyone feel out there? Okay, so technically the RTX 5090 was $2,000, right? Technically it was only worth that much, and that they sold between 26 to 3,000 because of the AIBs. How would you feel if Nvidia attempted to push the price up once again? How would you guys still feel comfortable with Nvidia, or would you give Nvidia backlash for that? I sold my oh, I can believe it. There's a lot of us in here that are missing body parts in order to get this RTX 5090, and all for the love of gaming, right? Love of gaming, love of LLMs, all love for production, all of it. There's always a reason for something. And I'm curious too about this whole RTX 5050. Originally, that it was stated that the RTX 5050, and this is no joke, they were coming out with the RTX 5050, that it was going to use a G6. I'm assuming they got a lot of backlash for that, because now it's supposed to be G7 from when it's supposed to be released. So there's going to be a G7 RTX 5050 with probably about 6 GB of VRAM, or 8 GB of VRAM. I forget what the exact specs are rumored to be. And they are releasing a double D, because the RTX 5090 double D, because they really got D'd down over in China, because now the VRAM for a RTX 5090 that they're sending them is only 24 gigabytes versus 32. So my 4090 was sacrificed to buy the 5090. The crazy part is that at least the price went up on the 4090, so you probably ended up selling the 4090 for more than what you bought it for, and that is the good thing about it. It's funny because I'm trying to sell this RTX 4090 build. I'm surprised no one has bought it yet. Most people are aiming to try to get me to sell them just the 4090 itself, but I tell them, no, it's a whole system. You either take the whole system or you're not getting anything. And as soon as I put the whole system out there, then I get thrown with these lowball offers. So let me tell you that's the thing about South Florida. It's like everyone floats around like they have money, but it always seems like they don't have money. So since they discontinued the previous lineup, they actually hold value. Yeah, exactly. 2,500 for the RTX 6090. I don't know. The point is more what benefits off the RTX 6090 would have, or how much is the jump from raw power of the card. That's a good statement to make. Now, it's a good question to see if it's going to have true power in that card. We all know when this whole RTX 6090, once that gets released, it's certainly going to have a DLSS 5. We do know that. But is DLSS 5 going to be something that's actually revolutionary is the question, is part of it. Would it be more hardware related than actually software related? How would it be crazy to say or to think that maybe maybe NVIDIA could focus more on, instead of RTX, maybe go to PTX, their path tracing, focus more on path tracing, improving it. Maybe it'll be maybe it's the PTX 10, they could say PTX 1090. That could be the next generation. They could always go that route because we know that ray tracing has been already perfected. Hence why they got RTX. So why not go PTX? So, but unless NVIDIA doesn't feel like their path tracing is very revolutionary enough, I wouldn't be surprised if they threw an AI title in there. Maybe like I could see them going like maybe the PTX AI 1090 or something like that. And then that would completely change the look of how GPUs are. But it would have to certainly be something revolutionary for sure. I'm hoping that when they do go to this new process that it requires less power. That would certainly be more respectable than requiring more power off the next generation, which would be pretty ridiculous because as we all know, the power requirements are really high. And I'm curious if they're also planning to implement, and we'll get a good indication of it once the RTX 5080 Super gets released, is if they will plan on having two 12-volt high power ports instead of just having one. It was always rumored that they were going to have two, and in fact that there was prototypes out there with even 3 of them. So what is the difference between path tracing and ray tracing? The difference is path tracing. The differences between path tracing is it's much more in depth than ray tracing. Ray tracing you're getting mostly off of lights and reflections and things like that. Path tracing is reflecting everything, like from to almost to a realistic level. Like you're bouncing everything practically together. And a lot of systems will actually have trouble running path tracing. Cyberpunk certainly has it. As Terrazine says, it does have it. And if you have an RTX card, the RTX 50 series, I highly suggest it. 40 series can even run path tracing as well. Highly suggest to do it. And it's something that AMD is lacking of when it comes to the path tracing side. But they certainly are more up to date when it comes to ray tracing. They certainly improved in that aspect. But path tracing is certainly much more different, and it brings a lot more realistic visuals more than just reflections, I can say. So definitely experience it. You will see how different it looks. Um, but that is the difference between the two. Also, um, when it comes to Nvidia as well, I think when they do move on to this new die, it's uncertain. Well, I'm pretty certain they're probably going to continue on frame generation. But I'm just curious if they're looking to push more frames, or if they're gonna go for more accuracy. Because if you ever use frame generation, sometimes it will glitch when you use it. It won't be perfect. It will try to repeat a pattern. Sometimes it'll get to the point where it attempts to repeat this pattern, but then eventually it just spikes up and it looks too crazy. It'll actually give really weird textures at times. And that's something that they could certainly do. They could work on. But I wonder how different it's going to be. I could see them trying to implement like maybe even include like the whole NPC aspect of it, like more realistic. Like when you're talking to some sort of NPC in game, maybe you can actually do this whole conversation thing, because that's something that they've been testing out practically. Maybe that's something that they would implement, but then it would also cause developers to become a little bit more lazy because of it too. But that's going to then require people to want to get this new card, because then it would have that module that you would be able to speak to these NPCs. So, oh yes, the Galaxy GeForce RTX. Yeah, yes, yeah, it's pretty insane, right? Guys, what does DLSS means? It means it is practically super sampling. They also have DLAA. DLAA is the better one that you would go for, because that is actually just going to, uh, dang, I'm trying to remember the DLA meaning. Anti-aliasing. That's what it is. So you have anti-aliasing versus super sampling. Sampling is just trying to make your is exactly how it sounds. Sampling is to improve it, to make it look better. It makes it look more clean, allegedly, and that's what super sampling does. But honestly, the anti-aliasing is better. So there is DLSS, a DLSS plus frame generation. People mostly stick to DLSS only to, and yes, exactly, and that's the problem when there is like very terrible input delay. Even though it almost seems like it'll say that you're getting more frames on your game. It'll say you're getting 240 frames, but in reality, it doesn't really feel like 240. Even if you benchmark it, it won't show up as 240 frames. Instead, it'll actually say you get a score of 20,000, right? Of frame generation frames. But then when you have frame generation off and you're hitting, say, like 190 frames without frame gen, and then you get a score of 25,000, you even get a better score. And the reason is why? It's because it's exactly what Terrazyne says. It's just that you don't get the input lag you get from frame generation. And again, it's not perfect. So most people don't even like turning on frame generation. I've tried to stay away from it far as possible. Even on other cards, even AMD cards are the same way. You don't really have to turn it on. You're just going to want to go off the card's power. I apologize. Oh wow, I did all that. I apologize for that. I hit the key while I was talking. I hope you guys didn't miss too much from what I said. What I was saying was, when it comes to, there's a lot of hate when it comes to the RTX series because it's the cost. It's more cost than anything. It's more the pricing. Originally, the RTX 4090 was $1,500. A lot of people were really upset for NVIDIA for that. If you guys remember, the RTX 4080 was at $1,200. People were really upset about that too. And they said, oh, these are never going to sell. We'll just wait for the 50 series. And the 4090 didn't sell as well, or the even the 4080s didn't sell as well. So the 50 series comes out. Now they mark up the price of the 5090 to $2,000, to where the RTX 5080 drops down to $1,000. But it almost seems like the price has increased still for the RTX 5080 and the RTX 5090 because of the AIBs and the extra costs that is accumulated to it. And because of that, people feel that NVIDIA is being too greedy about their pricing. So hence they got the name NVIDIA. They got all different types of names out there that they get pretty much marked up with a band name because it almost seems like they just care about more profit than actually product. Because they even stopped making some 5090s for a while because they needed the 5090 GPUs in order to create more for their AI side of the NVIDIA, for more of their capital side of their project, because that's where all their money is through not consumers, but through business than the actual consumers. So they cut die too much. Feels like they're paying for scrap metal. Yeah, that's funny. I can't believe I cut my own audio off. I probably rubbed my finger right up against the key, like where I hit the mute key, and it muted my audio. But a good example, I actually open it up for you, just to give you guys an example. If you guys don't know, I'll open up NVIDIA's stock here, right? And if I open up NVIDIA stock, just to give you a good visual of where their money really is, let's see, right here. I know I'm showing it on a phone instead of a PC, but you can see, if you take a look at that, you can see where their profit really is coming from. It's coming from businesses more than anything. You see that little bar down on the bottom? That's us. That's us right there. We're only the 86.3 billion compared to the trillions of dollars that they make off of businesses. So be happy we have the RTX 5090. When I see the price of the RTX Pro 6, yes, that is insane, right? Have you guys seen the price of that? And did you know they actually compared it with the RTX 5090 to see how different the GPUs are against each other? And ironically, the 5090 actually performed really well compared to this RTX 6000, which is insane. Again, it has 96 gigabytes of G7 in this other module, and this other GPU, versus 32 gigabytes of VRAM. So, but again, the 5090 did hold its own and actually competed very well against it. And again, it's not really meant, the 6000 Pro is not really meant for gaming. It's meant for doing LLMs more than anything. People build, no way. Really? That's such a waste of money. Unless they're really big AI enthusiasts. I get it. If you're into LLMs, I could see doing a 6000 build. But if you're not, you could care less for LLMs, then that's just an entire waste of money. That's just poor decision making. That's a $9,000 to $10,000 card. It's no joke. That's expensive. That could build. You know how many PCs you could build with that? Just in that GPU alone. But that is so. guys out there, don't get any ideas. Don't even think about purchasing one unless you are doing LLMs, unless you're a professional at it. With 69 gig, yeah. They could easily market. I could see a market for it. I could see people willing to. It's all about bragging rights anymore, it seems like, when it comes to gaming. Just so that way you can just show off that you have the greatest card. Can you imagine somebody goes up to you and says, yeah, I got a 9800X3D. Oh, yeah, yeah, cool. And then they say, oh, I also got a Blackwell 6000 Pro. You'd be like, what the hell? Like, why did you even get that card but that CPU? You might as well have Go Threadripper at it while you're at it, right? Because I gotta say, I'm actually excited for Shimada's Peak when that gets released. What's up, David? Kami says, is it better to build an ITX build more expensive? Sometimes it could be. It could be sometimes more expensive to go ITX because of the form factor. Sometimes the cases won't be as much. Sometimes the motherboards are a little bit more because of it. And the fitment, you have to see what type of case that you're really putting it in. There's a few favorite cases that I do like, especially from Fractal Design. They got some really dope designs, I gotta say, like for their cases, especially when it comes to the ITX side. You could put a full-size GPU, but again, you can imagine the time it takes to just build it. And the way you could put a full-size GPU, they have the PCI Express riser in there, so you can connect your GPU almost like in a whole separate location, which I can share with you guys if you want to check that out. In fact, let me show you, because it's pretty dope looking. And it's Fractal's design. We'll go on their website and I can show you. But they have some really amazing stuff when it comes to their cases. Is it the... Where is it? Not the Node. Pop North. I think it's this one, the Ridge. Look at that. Right? Nice and thin. You can put it into like an entertainment system if you want. Like right there in your entertainment system. You can set it up just like this if you want. Kind of like a setup just... But you can put a full-size GPU in this thing. I bought the RTX 6000 to watch. Oh, man. Yeah, can you imagine that? I gave up trying to be cool, high-performance SFF. Bigger case, and then better ever. I agree. Yes. It's almost like, remember that was the biggest thing? Was like, oh, I can max out all my games. Now it's like, who has the best hardware more than anything? Also, no, yes, agreed. I do agree. I want to show you the inside of it. Which, why is this? They're just showing you the exterior. Let me see. All right, let me just pick one, and then maybe we can see the inside. There it is. So it looks like this inside. So you see how customizable that is, right? So if you look onto the side of it here, let's see. I want to show you the GPU slot here. I think it's, where is it? I know it's somewhere in here. They actually got way more pictures than I thought. I know they gotta have a picture here somewhere. Oh, now it doesn't want to load. But right here, you can get supports GPUs up to a length of 335 millimeter. All panels are removable, enabling maximum accessibility. But there is a riser in there. I know you can connect your GPU practically to it. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? Like, you could do a full-on build. 2.5 drives you could put back here. And you could put your cooler. Or maybe this is for your GPU you can put. I think it is. That's for your... Has to be. I wonder why they don't have that public. But you can hook up a riser to it. It says supports up to 335 here too, but I don't know why they're not showing the picture here for it. I would love to show you guys the example. Here it is. Like right here. There it is. Comes with our PCI Express 4 or 3 riser pre-installed. So right there. Yeah, so it sits right behind those fans as expected. Just like that. That's pretty dope, right? I know, I don't think so. So if we were to look at the size, like if it would fit a 4090, I think a 4090 is actually bigger. Let's go and we'll look it up on tech spec. This is, let's see, length. Oh, it can 304 millimeters, right? And it can fit up to 330. So it can fit a 4090 if you were to put it in. That's pretty crazy. You are limited to the Founders Edition side. Yes, this is the Founders Edition side. Let's look up, say, MSI's 4090. Gaming X Trio. Yeah, you're really cutting it. That would cause some modifications there. 337. That is really cutting it close there. So you would have to really do some modifications there to take it off. It's at 335, right? So you would have to like do some customizations to make it fit. Maybe just want to look at Gigabyte, for example, just to see. Let's try their gaming overclock. I am really curious to see if it's possible. Specs. And this one is, no, way too big. 340. So you'll be much closer with the MSI one. 340. The other way, no, that's even difficult. I was thinking of taking off the fan shroud. You can take off the fan shroud and swap it out, but then if you were to like water cool it, it would be impossible. You would have to have like a whole nother unit for it. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, water cooled GPUs, you could certainly, they're nice to have. But most people aren't going to push their GPU to that limit to where you really have to cool off the GPU. Unless you're like doing something pretty intense. Like if you're gaming on multiple monitors. That would definitely take up a bit of VRAM. Your GPU would certainly get more hot. Where you're going to push like for 8K 60 or something. Like really pushing the GPU. Then I can see water cooling. Even when you're undervolt, it's like... Again, we're going in the opposite direction more than actually trying to push more power. So, water cooling is dope and everything, but I feel like it's almost to the point where people don't care about it as much as they used to. Like, it was, I feel, much more bigger like 3 years ago than what it is now. I feel less people don't really care as much about water cooling because you have AIO everything. Such as, again, the GPUs are also AIO they have. Which some of them, like I believe Gigabyte's one of them where they have their own. MSI actually has their own too. ASUS does. They all do, I think, pretty much now, thinking of it. Can I send a link on this chat for a crazy build? Sure. Also, if you have a problem sending links, and I messed up here because I didn't share my Discord to everybody out there, please join the Discord, and I can share it onto the live. You can feel free to post up pictures. You can post up different videos. You can post up different problems that you pose. Feel free to join the Discord, and I will certainly I can share it live as well. I know it looks a bit crazy. That's something I still haven't fixed yet. I gotta fix that. The whole prompt repeating itself. I gotta put a timer on that thing because now it looks a bit crazy every time I post it. Let me put that down here. But yeah, feel free to send it. I'm curious. Hopefully I didn't end up pushing out what you sent. No problem. Let me open up the Discord. I'm surprised it's not open up here. I thought I had it open. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, feel free to send it through if you have any trouble sending the link. And then if you do, I'll open it up through Discord, and that way everybody can see. I think the limit probably would be like a 4080 maybe. They're quite a bit smaller. 5080, yeah, should be able to. 5080. You would have had to really research and to see what to put together. I'm curious about the power supply and everything on it, because I wonder if it seems like everything would have to be customized on it. So this is 340. Wow, that's pretty insane. That's just as big as the RTX 4090. I can tell you, I know for Gigabyte's GeForce card here, I can say, all right, let me see here. I can say for Gigabyte GeForce card, it's the same size as the 5090. That's insane. So it's really the shroud that's taken up a lot of the area. Oh, where did it go? Okay, let me go. Oh, I see what happened. Oh, apologize for that. I'm like all over the place here. All right, welcome our new members here onto Discord. And I'm sure they're just about to send it. If you guys get lost on how to join in, go to the very top on Discord. You'll see rules. Just hit that green check mark and you'll be good to go. If you guys are looking, if you're unable to see all the other servers, just go up to the rules side and hit the green check mark and you're good to go. That's how you get access to the channel. If you hit anything else like the like or the eyes, it won't give you access. So just make sure to hit the green check mark and you're pretty much good to go. Ah, yes. Coffee time. I got up so early. Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't. I know. You can't, right? That's exactly what I was thinking. You can't trust a small GPU. I mean, PSU to do that. Unless they got like almost like a really weird one. Can you imagine a PSU where it's like really like almost like a note, like the size of a laptop? Can you imagine a PSU like that? Instead of it being box shaped, it's just like stretched out so it could fit in a smaller case. I could see them doing that, and then they could have like all the connections. Like you just put it maybe into the back. It would be really weird. It'd be a pain in the ass to change out, right? If it's like right by the motherboard and everything. That would just be ridiculous. All right, so let's see here. In general, okay. Haven't caught you guys yet. I can't wait though. Does anybody else think that AMD is going to drop a RX 9080 and RX 9090? I can certainly see it. Maybe now? Sure. Co-op companions. Okay, I see it. Oh, wow. Okay, sharing this for everybody out there. And wow, size of a shoebox. That is insane. And this is also a fractional design case too, I think, right? But that's sick. That is nice to have. You compare it next to... That's dope. Yeah, you gotta have really thin components to have them fit together. a 980. MSI Edge, okay. That's their ITX size. Power supply, 750 watts. That's a small ATX unit that they use too. Oh, that's pretty dope though. Makes me want to build one, like just like that. What's up, Jonah? That's pretty dope actually. That's pretty dope. What's up, Kami? Has anybody wanted to do a build like that, like a smaller build, just because it's more of the challenge? Yeah, that was a sick build. That was a nice short for sure. Guys, is EVGA still a good brand at PSU? Certainly is. It's still a good brand. Again, EVGA is good, but again, it's not. I had to say this. Like, Seasonic's just a whole different level. Like, when it comes to their PSUs, out of all the PSUs I've ever messed with, Seasonic is certainly on a whole different level. But EVGA is also good. EVGA is I don't know, do they still make PSUs? Because it seems like they almost pulled out of everything now. Let me see. I'm just curious if they do. Giant build PLYWW. Yeah. Yeah, send it. I'm curious, Dave. Let me see. EVGA. I don't think they have it anymore, right? I didn't think so. I just looked up EVGA to see if they have any ATX. Oh, that's why I was like, I was confused. There we go. I accidentally muted myself, but I have a habit of hitting the keys over on the numpad, and that's where I got all my streaming keys. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I can't press that side while I'm streaming. Giant build with plywood. You know what's wild? The builds that people put on their walls. Like, you ever see the ATX builds people just put on their walls? Open case, nothing. They have no screens, nothing, just to open. Pretty much like a benchmark build. Yeah, I know. I realize that. Thanks to Kuma. So I'm curious. Do they have it? I don't think they do. Let me see. EVGA Supernova. I guess they do have one. That's pretty insane. Let me see. I'm going to look this brand up. I'll share it with you guys. I was just curious if they still had some. Oh, here we go. That's why I wanted to go into EVGA's website here. Supernova, 1600, 1300. They have the G+. I built a lot of PCs with EVGA. And they're really good power supplies. But as we discussed in here, it's like it just doesn't compete with Seasonic, to be honest. Anybody that's touched the Seasonic PSU will tell you the same thing. Not bad? Yes, they certainly are. Up to 35% more quiet under loads. Doesn't look bad. I think they stopped making motherboards more than anything. Let's see, products. Power supplies, it looks like they still have. I'll show you their products. They're not completely out yet. So they got power supplies. Oh, they still have mother. No, these are old. Z790 boards. And then they have gaming keyboards, gaming mice, capture devices. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know they had capture devices. You think so? Why does it keep disappearing? That's so strange. That must be the... It shows, because I see you guys on the other chat too, but for some reason it like disappeared and I probably had to reset that. I bet I do. Perfect. MSI has a bad PSU and ATX 3.1 generation. Really? It's funny because I haven't had any issues with MSI, in my opinion, so far. Like, I haven't, knock on wood. I won't mind, I would say, switching out to Seasonic, I would say. But, because this build behind me, that has MSI in there, believe it or not. But again, haven't had issues yet, knock on wood, but we'll see. So far, it's been solid. But I thank everybody for joining in. Hopefully, everyone out there has joined the Discord. Hopefully, everyone has been enjoying the Steam Summer Sale. I hope you are getting all the great deals that you like. Make sure if you haven't joined the Discord, I usually stream on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Sometimes I will stream midday Saturday or Sunday. And what we'll do usually on stream is we'll check out the performance. I put on the overlay of performance stats, so you can check out the RTX 5090, see how it performs, along with the 9800 X3D and other factors in it. And I hope you guys did enjoy the stream. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe or follow the channel. And I thank everybody for coming in. I have certainly enjoyed our talk today. Hopefully everybody's found this useful. And thanks again, everybody, for being part of this wonderful fan bam. Also, I'm excited to do this build and test out this SSD, see what type of numbers that we pull out of it. But thanks again, everybody, and hope to see you guys very soon. Thanks again.